since we've been like stricken with division and civil war within the open bar, how about I bring us all together by laughing at Disney?
Let's do it.
I think I can make that work. There was an article from Forbes recently, just a couple of days ago, talking about Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm. They paid $4 billion for the company. Sounds like a bargain, right? Well, it turns out they haven't actually even made back the cost of buying the studio yet. It says here, box office profits generated by Disney Star Wars movies have fallen 2.8 billion short of covering the media giant's purchase of the sci-fi saga's creator, Lucasfilm, according to analysis of recently filed financial statements. So they bought Lucasfilm for $4 billion back in 2012, and I can't believe it was that long ago, and soon gave the green light to the trilogy of Star Wars movies, blah, blah, blah. They were all crap, pretty much. Anyway, it says...
include merchandising rights? Can I just clarify? Did they buy all the merchandising, the toy rights?
I think they might not
they
have,
did.
actually.
They do. Later in the article, they do, because that was my very first question. It's like...
yeah, Gary, because you know why that is, don't you? Because that's where
they make more money. They make more money on T-shirts and toys and everything else, and licensing the product out, but they do factor that in later.
That's how Lucas made all his money on Star Wars, because he took a low salary cut. But he said to 20th Century Fox, but I have the merchandising rights, please. And they hadn't seen Star Wars figures yet, so they went, "Yeah, okay, George."
They're like, "This is ridiculous." Yeah, fine, whatever.
Yeah, have them.
Well,
have them, little Georgie.
Millions of pounds.
Well, what I will say is there's quite a lot of fluff, basically, in their financial returns about how they've made money and stuff, but it's all not factoring in the costs of making the film. So it says here, buried in the fine print is the revelation that the purchase price of Lucasfilm isn't even included in the return on investment calculation. Instead, it is purely based on the box office performance of Disney's Star Wars trilogy, its spin-off films, merchandise, whatever. As revealed, the methodology is questionable, as Disney based the return on investment on the revenue generated by the movies and everything else, rather than the profit that they made, as it should have done. Using the revenue rather than the profit artificially inflates the result, as it doesn't factor in the cost that Disney had to pay out, which is $4 billion. Even this wasn't enough for the media giant, so it also forecast the revenue that it expected everything to generate over a 10-year period, and based the calculation on that too. Like, there's fudge in the books, and then there's just straight up making shit up.
I can't wait to see what South Park do with this.
I know. In other words, Disney hasn't actually received the revenue that it used to calculate the return on its investment. In summary, despite seeming to do so, Disney's presentation doesn't actually reveal whether its Star Wars movies have covered the cost of its purchase of Lucasfilm. So basically, it still hasn't made its money back after 12 years.
Damn, man. You would have thought
brutal.
With an IP like that, you would have thought you'd be able to do that, but I wonder why they haven't been able to do that. Could it be that the content's been a bit shit?
Star Wars isn't like a money printer or anything. It's not it's like a piddling little indie franchise.
Never been profitable. No, it's a niche thing. It's for
niche
enthusiasts.
I remember telling everyone about it,
It's funny. Is since selling Star Wars to Disney, George Lucas has made more money than Disney on it.
Yeah.
He has. He fucking has. That's why he voted. He's all, keep everything the same. I'm fine. I'm good. Yeah. So he's doing good. Yeah, I love how the
deal, George. No, you're fine.
Yeah, you're good. You're all good. No, that's Hollywood in a nutshell, though. I mean, that's basic Hollywood economics. All these asshole companies who are out there trying to tell us how to live now with their new DEI policies. We all know what they're there for. It's the same with Nike and everything. It's to cover up all the evil shit they do. And some of the stuff that they do, they mentioned the article drinker later on that they're still, so they make these separate corporations in the UK. So people won't for tax purposes, and they're still charging stuff to The Force Awakens. They're like literally still charging stuff to that movie, to that corporation.
Well, it says here, so analysis of more of the company filings revealed that the cost of making Disney's 5 Star Wars movies was $2.1 billion, peaking at $567 million for The Force Awakens. However, that's just the start. Mindful of the budget, Disney devised an ingenious way to make money back on the movie. Instead of shooting it in the United States, it chose Pinewood Studios in the UK, where the original trilogy was made. This enabled it to benefit from the UK government's tax credit, which gives studios a cash reimbursement of 25% of the money that they spend on the UK provided that it represents at least 10% of the film's total costs. So tax credits that they get reimbursed to them just for making the film in the UK.
And they can keep just funneling money in and saying, well, you know, it really wasn't that profitable. And then they could like not pay out residuals or not, or just stop, you know, like all the writers like Alan Dean Foster went through this a couple of years ago. He's just stopped getting his residual checks because they don't give a shit. And they're not making a ton of money off this. They should be like, I'm sure the action figure sales for The Force Awakens were great. And I'm sure they made a lot of money. But that has deteriorated a lot now to where people don't. I can't wait for those Acolyte action figures. Those will be selling out everywhere.
Can't wait to see them in bargain bins everywhere. It'll be a roast Tico all over again.
I know, right? But yeah, they haven't made money, but Bob Iger's this big genius. And, you know, it's the fans who have been saying all along, you know, like you said, Lance, it's a bit shit. It's a bit shit.
Yeah.
And now we're in apathy. We're in pure apathy.
I've got to say this about the Acolyte as well, if I may, Drinker.
You may.
It takes years for someone in the industry to build up a certain level of production confidence with credits, writing, directing, producing, a mixture of some of those, as well as learning some of the technical skills, you know, that just happen on a set. And for someone to sort of walk in to Disney / Star Wars IP and be given their own show, carte blanche, when they've got almost no history of that level of experience behind them, you have to ask why that happened, okay? And why somebody else who's been grafting away in the industry. I know loads of people that are that would die to direct a Star Wars film, myself included. It doesn't mean that we'd get to make the Star Wars film we want to make, but I know lots of people that would be qualified to do that job, and they would produce good content. How is it that someone has walked in the door and been given a show like that with that level of experience? Why? You have to ask why. Okay. I'm not going to give the answer to that question. I'm going to throw that out to the panel.
This stuff is rife throughout Lucasfilm and Marvel, and we know exactly why. The people that they choose always belong to certain protected demographics. We know this. It doesn't matter about their experience. It doesn't matter about their talent. It doesn't matter about their actual interest in the source material. None of that stuff matters. It's just all that matters is getting them in there and making them do stuff, having them produce things.
Did you see the thing about Star Wars Outlaws where they were like, "This is the first time a woman will be the protagonist in a Star Wars video game" or something?
Oh
like, what the fuck? Have you forgotten? Yeah. You completely forgot the other time.
I honestly thought we'd finally gotten past that. It's like you've covered every possible permutation of everything. Every minority, every group has done everything in entertainment at this point, and you can't have a first of anymore, but they still have.
Reflecting on the directors, right?
It's a three-hander. The first Star Wars is a three-hander. It's a love triangle. Leia, Luke, Han Solo. They all pretty much get equal screen time. Maybe Luke gets a little bit more. So how is this the first female?
I think Muller's even talking about the video game side of things.
Which Battlefront 2 already beat them to the punch, right?
She's diverse as well. So she beat them on 2 counts.
So, well, and of course, to reflect it back to what you're just talking about, it's a matter of like, it does apparently get them points to be able to market that way, to be like, look at who we have. Because, you know, like the Marvels, for example, it's like, we have to have a woman direct that. It would be bad if we didn't. It would look bad if we didn't. It's like, why? It's like, because it's the woman movie. It's like, what?
Yes.
Like, what? Should you get who's best suited? It's like, no.
That's bigoted talk, Muller. You can't think like that.
Well, it's funny too because it doesn't help these people. I don't think to be like we know from Black Widow, right, that there were certain people. I can't remember the name of the director. She was brought on.
Shortland.
Yeah, and then told like, you'll be doing this, and she's like, what?
More. You won't be doing this.
Yeah,
you won't be directing any of the effects or the fight scenes. And she's like, well, that's half the fucking movie.
Well, Nia DaCosta, like straight up saying we were shooting a whole bunch of scenes that I had no fucking clue what they were for or how they fit into the movie. You're the director. It's your job to know these things. But like they wouldn't have cared.
the thing is, didn't Bob Iger say she didn't have enough supervision?
Supervision.
Apparently, yeah.
So is that just real? That's the worst of both worlds, where she has full control and she doesn't know what's going on.
Because she's done some good stuff on television, but you need to have a bridge between doing a couple of episodes of something like Top Boy before leaping into a $300 million Marvel film. You want to do an indie film or two where you're directing the helm, maybe one that's got some special effects in, and then you leap into a big effects franchise. That's too big a leap for any director at that level. You get sink or swim, and you're probably going to drown.
It's like taking someone
kind of stuff.
It's like taking someone who ran like a little fucking coffee shop in a small village or something, and then making them the head of a Fortune 500 company. Like, they're not going to be able to just move into that role.
I mean, it's great that people are getting opportunities that they didn't get before. That is good. I'm all for that. But look at people's resumes and ask who is the best person for this job. And I just don't think we're just not doing that anymore in the film industry. We're just not.
Star Wars is now a toxic brand. So, like, if you're a director and you've got any experience, you're going to get fucked with.
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy are going to come in and just change a story. So anyone who's actually good and wants to do something won't be able to.
Well, I mean, that's why we heard the rumors of all the infighting with the guy that directed the movie Swingers. Sorry, his name's gone out of my head. Who did Mandalorian. Yeah, exactly. And there was a lot. It was all those stories were going through the industry, my end, every week, that there was fighting on the show about what was going to be in it and what wasn't. And I kind of wonder what kind of show we were going to get. I was amazed it was as good as it was.
So all you're going to get is people who are willing to be controlled because it's their big break.
Yeah,
that's all you're going to get.
Yeah, you're not going to take it. No one's going to take any risks. Sorry, Gary.
No, it's all good. Because it's produced. That's all. It's producers running the show now. A director is, with TV it's different, but with a film it's the same thing. You have too many producers, too many cooks in the kitchen who aren't really creative at all, and they want. By the way, diversity. It's casting. It's not hiring. Is a very cheap and easy way to control somebody, so you don't your budgets don't get out of control with hiring directors. They certainly get out of control with like reshooting your movie twice. But
how's Captain America 4 doing?
Hey, it's going to reset the MCU with a bunch of without a Captain America in it. It's a Captain America movie without Captain America.
I want them to release all three. Release all of them. Do it, cowards.
And President Ross is probably going to be a Trump stand-in. So.
I actually really have enjoyed this time where we haven't had any Marvel movies come out. It's been nice.
It's been nice.
It's been a nice little vacation.
We can talk about desert planets, the giant lizards, or post-apocalypse worlds. We don't have to deal with Marvel. Isn't that great?
I would quite happily never see another superhero film again. Honestly, I've had there's so many.
I'm kind of at that point. Like,
isn't that sad though? Like,
it is sad, but they should have drip fed us every few years. Like when the Star Wars was originally released, build up a big audience for the next one. Not like 5 or 6 in 2 years. It was just saturation overload, and also
more. And it's not sad because it's like giving me a chocolate cake fucking 3 times a day, and the cake itself gets increasingly shit as time passes.
That's not the
sad part. Hating it.
The sad part is Lad saying he doesn't want to see a superhero movie like ever again. Which is,
I mean, can't I ask you guys, particularly Gary, who look at the wall behind him? He's obviously a big superhero guy. Didn't you find in the last few films the over CGI fights, didn't you just find them? They just got boring because there seemed to be no real stakes, because most of the time none of the main characters are going to get killed, or even if they do, they're probably going to come back again soon in some sort of resurrection deal or whatever. So you just kind of feel that the fights just start getting pointless because there's no real tension, because they don't really mean anything, and it's just loads more CGI.
Yeah, it's gobbledygook. It turned into gobbledygook. Superhero storytelling is supposed to be different genres. That's what, sci-fi, action, noir. And it just turned it into a Disney film, a Disney product. And it's pretty sad because it is sad because they had a lot of great comics they could have adapted if they kept Iron Man and Captain America alive, that could have taken them out for the next 10 years, even if they recast them, which would have still been tough. but Bond survived. They could have done it, but no, they wanted to rush into the freaking MCU, and now they have to stop everything, and we're having to rely on Deadpool 3, which it could be good, it could be crap. I mean, like, I have no idea. It's going to be a gimmick film though.